Hi, my name is Gilly Thomas, and this is SATT for PAWS. This lesson is a craniosacral lesson, and this is Sasha. She's my foster dog. When she came to us, she was full of anxiety. Her body was very, very tight, and one of the things that I did with her was this craniosacral movement, and what it does is it alleviates anxiety by just very, very gently loosening tension. So I think she was probably about 8 months old when she came to us, and she'd obviously been part of a very loving family because she was full of love, but she was very anxious because they had had some twins and had tried to, I think, probably separate her out from the pack. And so there was a lot of things that would trigger her and make her tight. One of the reasons that craniosacral really works nicely is that it's so gentle and so light that it just really gradually gets the dog to ease out of that holding pattern. So going back to 101, you start off by checking in with yourself and getting the baseline. So what are you aware of in yourself right now? Are you physically supported somatically? Yeah, feel pretty good here. You check in, how are you feeling emotionally? Get to that place of love for your dog in your heart. And the talk in this one is, again, you're okay. And also, I love you, so that they can hear and feel that love that comes from you. And the touch is very specific in terms of where your hand placements are and how you use your hands. So one of the things that you also want to check it out with your dog is their baseline. What is their physical somatic feeling like today? And she just doesn't really feel that tense anymore. It's hilarious. But you check, do a checklist. Have they been fed, watered, exercised, and so that some of their basic somatic needs have been met. Their physical needs have been met, and make sure that they're supported, that they can do this. She's a little bit big actually for this placement, but she's such a great model. I'm actually going to need you to roll over the other way, sweetie, when you get there. Remember though that your dog always leads the way of a session like this. So if she wants me to work with her laying on her back like this, then I'll do that. And then on the close-up, I'll get her to roll over and show you how to place your hand on your dog in that position. So yes, sweetie. All right. So the cranium is the head, and the sacrum is, there's a flat bone that's just above the tail. Okay? Yes. So what you do is you think about it as like a string of pearls, because the cranium and the sacrum are connected by the vertebrae, right? By the spine. And then all of the nerves come out of your spine and connect to every part of your body. So if you imagine that every part of your body is affected by a contact at the head and contact at the tail and really gentle movement of the spine, then you're accessing, or you're kind of teasing out that anxiety through your touch. The other thing you want to remember is the quality of the touch. You come in as light as a butterfly, just let the hand rest on the cranium and on the sacrum. And if you want to remind yourself of the weight of that, take a quarter and put it on your hand, because your hand should just be resting that lightly. All right, and the interesting thing is when your hand rests that lightly on another living being, you're able to listen to more of what's happening in that little that little being. If you really apply deep pressure, and we go into this in other lessons, then you're actually getting different information, like maybe what's happening on the bone level or the muscular level. So with this, it's super, super, super light, okay? And in your mind, your intention is that love and that the dog's okay. And if you can imagine getting a sense of your whole dog and kind of being curious, like where do you feel they might be holding some tension? Where do you feel like there's flow? Because there's both always, all right? So if she's lying like this and I'm sitting here, one of the hand positions would be on the cranium, and you just make contact like it's comfortable for you. But if you feel the back of your dog's head with your fingers or with your thumb, you'll feel there's kind of a little bit of a notch before it goes into the spine. So you just let your hand rest really gently there. And then the other hand, I'm gonna lean into this bed. The other hand just rests really gently on that flat plate that's above the thighs. And in this position, it's easiest for my fingers to actually make contact with that. And then the movement is, there's two movements. You can either move both hands forward towards the tip of the nose, and then backwards towards the tip of the tail. And what you're sensing here, it's called the cranial sacral pulse. And the cranial sacral pulse is very slow, much slower than your heart rate. It stays consistent whether you're exercising, whether you're sleeping, eating, whatever. It does not change. Whereas your heart rate, if you exercise, it increases. See, my voice is going up. Now she's telling me she doesn't want me to have my hand on her head anymore there. So I'm just gonna let my hand rest on her neck, and I'm gonna continue doing that movement with the sacrum, okay? Because remember, it's like a string of pearls, so you can work with both hands at the same time, or you can just work with one end. Oh, where was I, Sasha? Where was I? So I'm gonna tell her, I love you. Yes, I do, I love you. And I'm also gonna tell her she's okay. You're okay. Because when a dog is anxious, then everything in them tenses up. And so when they know they're okay, then they can relax. Yeah. Oh yeah, the different movements. So the movements are really straightforward. You move your hand up towards the tip of the tail, and then you down towards the tip of the tail, and then up towards the tip of the nose. And with both of your hands, if the dog's okay with you having two hands on, then your hands either can both move in the same direction, so they both go to the tip of the nose and then down to the tip of the tail, or they can come together. So they both come together and then they both go out. And then they both come together and they both go out. And right, I was also talking about the cranial sacral pulse. So just be curious, like if you're not listening to the heart rate, you're not listening to the breathing rate, you're listening for something that just feels very rhythmic and kind of slow. And then just let your hands follow that pattern. And don't worry about getting it right or wrong, just let yourself feel what's there. Now, the other thing is that I'm feeling for is with those two patterns with the hands coming in and out, is there more resistance or less resistance than if the hands both go the same direction? If the hands both go the same with her right now, when the hands both go the same direction, forward and back is super easy. It's like smooth like silk, okay? When the hands go together and apart, there's some tension there. So what you always do is you choose the easier movement. You choose the easier pattern. Okay, see, she's saying, okay, that's enough on my hand, all right. So you choose the easier pattern. So for her, the easier pattern was both of them going in the same direction. And so that would be what I would follow. And then if you can imagine that it's like every time your hand go one direction or another, it's like a little bit of that tension and anxiety is just melting away. Hey, sweetie? Yeah. I love you. Yes, I do. All right. So I'm gonna show you a bit of a close-up for the hand placement. And remember that when you do this, you're also paying attention to your somatic comfort and your dog's somatic comfort. So you might adjust it slightly to find that comfort zone. So here's Sasha, and I'm going to just show you first where you can put your hand placement on the sacrum. You'll see that the dog's tail ends up here, and just above it there's a very flat bone. So you can put your hand so that it's making contact like that, or you can turn your hand so that the fingers are pointing towards the tail and the hand's making contact with the sacrum. That's a little, you don't want your wrist to be that torqued back. You want it to be quite flat if you can. I'm trying to do the filming and show you the hand placement at the same time, which is difficult. Okay, so there's her head. And you can put your hand so that the palm is right at the back and the fingers are resting gently on the forehead. Okay, there you go. So at the end of the day, what you can do too is when you check in with yourself at the end and kind of like, how is that for me? I feel great. I feel even more relaxed than I was when I started. I'm more curious about my dog, and kind of now I'm like wondering, where's that resistance? Does it feel like it's the same as it was when I started? I might kind of check in with her a little bit to see if she's still feeling loosey-goosey, and you can see she's just, you are a wobble. You're a wobble muffin now. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. So just checking in with her to see how somatically she feels now, and she feels a lot looser and more relaxed. When a dog gives a big sigh like that, it's like a release. Emotionally, she's just a lot more relaxed nowadays than she was when she first got here. But changes that you might notice about your dog is they might not be panting as much. They might not be as hyper alert. They may be able to kind of settle in one place. Sometimes I've worked with dogs and they let me do this for 30 seconds and then they get up and they move around again. Then they come back because they like it. And then they might stay 45 seconds and then they move. And so really letting them show what pace to work at gives them the comfort and the security of kind of having the room to come in and come out themselves. And that in itself really reduces their anxiety. All right. So I'd love to hear from you. If you have any questions or comments, please shoot me an email or hop on Instagram or Facebook and send me some pictures of you and your dog. And I will be doing, in a couple of weeks, I'll be doing a follow-up with some highlights from this lesson and also answering some questions that have come in. So I will send you the link to that. Oh, the other thing that I'm starting to do is this really shows you some technique about how to do SATT for PAWS. I'm also starting to do Facebook Live tutorials just for certain categories of dogs. So anxious dogs is coming up, and then there's going to be one for sore and senior dogs, and then one for separation anxiety. and all how you can integrate this kind of technique with alleviating some of those symptoms. So they're going to be on Facebook Live for free for a week, and then you can access them on my website, and they'll be available for $5 a lesson. And yeah, so thanks for joining me today. I hope you and your dog really enjoyed this lesson. Okay, ciao for now.